Stop with the affirmations and stop with the subliminals. If you really want to change your mind and reprogram your mind, you must understand how your mind works. Yes, it will be easier for me to be here telling you, do this one affirmation, listen to this one subliminal, which by the way, I have subliminals here in my channel, but it will be much easier for me just to tell you this. But depending on what you're trying to change in your life, these tools are not effective and they are not enough. So stay with me, because if you want to have a massive quantum leap in your life right now, literally collapse timelines, call in more abundance, or call in love, whatever that is that you're trying to manifest in your life, you must understand how you as a human being operate. Because yes, we are not just our body, we are a soul living in a body, but we need to understand how to play this game of life in the avatar that we are playing as a human being. So a belief, what is a belief? A belief is nothing more than a memory assigned with a meaning, right? We gave a meaning to a memory with something that happened to us when we were kids, and then that formed a belief. There are two types of memories: explicit memories and implicit memories. Don't worry guys, I'm not going to try to make this like a lecture. I'm going to try to make it as easy as possible for you to digest, but if you understand this, I promise you, you are going to have that one of those light bulb moments, one of those aha moments. So you have explicit memories, which is nothing more than your conscious memories, right? And it's how I can translate this is like, I know this, right? I know I'm worthy of money. I know I can make more money. I know that money is not difficult to make, for example. And those conscious memories, they come from episodic or semantics. Episodic memories are nothing more than your personal experience. For example, you saw your parents fighting over money. That was a personal experience. That was an episodic memory. Now, a semantic memory is facts and knowledge. It's not something that you personally experience in your life. And this right here, right, when a belief comes from this type of memory, is very easy to change, right? The man landed in the moon, for example. This is a semantic memory, and that forms a belief. Yes, the man landed in the moon, but because you are not emotionally involved in the experience and you didn't participate in the experience, nowadays with all of the debunking and exposed of the matrix and blah blah blah, it's very easy to see like the man never went to the moon. Easy to change. But now other stuff that is more useful for us, like money is easy to come, I don't need to work hard for money, that type of thing is harder to change. Why? Because we have personal experience in it. Now, just by having a personal experience in it doesn't mean much. In fact, most of you guys are changing the wrong beliefs. Like, you are trying to reprogram your mind by affirming, I am abundant, I am worthy of more love, I am worthy of abundance, I am worthy of money, money comes to me easily, and all that type of thing. But that's just a macro belief, right? What's keeping you stuck are not the macro beliefs that money is hard to come, or money, I have to work hard for money. Yeah, that affects your life. Yes, it does. But you already have enough evidence that contradicts that belief for you to start like, wait a minute, that's not true. Like, there were times where I got money and it was easy. There were times where money wasn't tied to suffering and things like that. Stay with me, because it's going to make more sense in a minute. But going back to here, episodic memories are your personal experience, but they can vanish. For example, 3 months ago, do you recall what clothes were you wearing when you went to the grocery store? Most likely not. You might recall if something happened to you, like someone, like your pants ripped, or someone dropped something, spit milk on you, or something happened in the grocery store. Then you're gonna recall it because that experience was attached to an emotion. Then it's easier to recall the details of that episode, right? But when it comes to changing our life, we have to pay attention at the implicit memory, which is our unconscious stuff, and which, by the way, dictates 90 to 95% of our reality, because 90 to 95% of the day we are operating in auto mode. So what's really driving our entire reality is the unconscious stuff. And that's why Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Now, the unconscious memory, or the implicit memories, is how you feel, how you react your reaction to things, like how you behave. You are underpricing yourself. You have a lot of doubt. You are procrastinating. All of that stuff is unconscious. And that comes from procedure, memories, emotional, and somatic. Procedure is like your skills and habits, like you learn how to brush your teeth. Luckily, you don't have to learn this every day. You don't need to learn every day how to drive or how to drive a bike or how to surf. Now, your emotional is your feelings, your triggers, your secondary gains, your emotional contracts. And that's where your beliefs are stored. When you are working with reprogramming tools like affirmations, you don't get at the core of emotional, of this unconscious. Unless you are affirming with a lot of emotion, then yes, but you are still competing with a strong emotion, that strong memory that got stored years ago and has a lot of repetition through life experiences, right? For example, you can affirm, I am like, money comes to me easily, money comes to me easily, money comes to me easily, but I don't know, for 30 years, it never came to you easily. And you have already enough evidence of that with a strong emotion backing that up. So it's very hard and very ineffective way to change. And that's why most people don't see massive change just with affirmations or subliminals alone, because you're not going to the core of that belief. And when I say the core of the belief, I'm not just talking about like, how you feel about certain things, but what is very underlooked is the secondary gains of why you keep that belief in place. Why do you keep that belief in place that you should avoid money, that money is dangerous? The secondary gains of it normally comes from belonging, for you to try to stay connected to your family, or for you to, like, let me give you real examples to make it more clear for you guys. I have clients who their business weren't doing well, but every time their business are not doing well, their mom comes in and support them financially. And growing up in their childhood, their mom wasn't very present. And so now their secondary gain as adults is to make that mom pay the love that they never received. And they learned that by mom providing for me now and rescuing me, she is giving me the love which I lacked my entire life. That's the secondary gains, and that's like deep unconscious, like shadow work that needs to be done for you to release that. And no amount of affirmations, of subliminals, will touch those emotional contracts and secondary gains. Same thing with someone who gets sick. All of a sudden they get more attention, they get more empathy. Do you think that they're gonna heal? No, because for them, what they are lacking the most is the love, is belonging, is having more empathy. And they unconsciously associated that as a way of getting attention. And so no amount of affirmation or subliminals will touch that. And that's the most underlooked thing when people are trying to reprogram their minds. Now, aside from the emotional, implicit memory, we have the somatic, which is your nervous system, right? It already knows how to respond to that situation, and that's why you feel triggered, that's why you feel anxious, that's why you feel fearful about certain things that you're trying to change. If you're just trying to use tools like affirmations are only going to tap into your conscious mind, into your explicit memories, but it's not going to tap into the somatic and emotional memories. And that's the stuff that you must weaken or change in order for that belief to upgrade in the subconscious mind. If you don't do this, the chances of your reality changing will be very, very low, trust me. And so what is a memory, right? Because I said a belief is nothing more than a memory plus a meaning that we gave to it. A memory is a pattern of information that our brain uses to predict, to react, or to behave a certain way. So it's not bad, right? Our brain is just trying to make sure that we survive. So there is a fact. My parents were fighting about money. How I felt in the moment, I felt anxious, I felt fearful. So my nervous system, my body, somatically, are going to attach that money with that reaction in my body, right? And what did I do? I avoid asking or talking about money. And I gave a meaning to it. Money will cause conflict. You see, this here is not on your conscious mind. It's all in your unconscious mind. So you using tools, once again, like affirmations, will not tap into the deep stuff. Yeah, but how about subliminals? Subliminals, they go into the subconscious mind because they bypass the conscious mind. Yes, but they do not dissolve the somatic, and they do not dissolve secondary gains or emotional contracts. They don't. And depending on what you're trying to create in your life, like a big jump, you must look into those things, not just at the macro belief, but at the gains of keeping that belief, right? And so how do we change this? To change, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but there is a study from backed up by neuroscience that shows that we can not erase a memory, but we can remove the emotional charge from that memory by creating a contradiction in real time to that memory, because your brain cannot keep two emotional truths at once. So instead of doing tons of affirmations or of tons of nights listening to subliminals, you could literally remove a belief by exposing a contradictory truth that is strong enough that your brain will say like, oh, that makes sense, this is not truth. The key is to understand that affirmations and subliminals usually normally target the explicit memory and not the implicit memory. And your implicit memories really drives the beliefs because it stores not only the facts, but the meaning behind the facts. And in order to truly change, you must change the implicit beliefs, not just the external beliefs. You see, most methods of reprogramming is you trying to compete with the existing pattern, with the existing belief. But that belief, number one, is serving you for a reason, has a benefit for you to be keeping that in place. And number two, has already a lot of experience, personal experience with a strong emotional charge in place. So it's very hard to make this new belief of yours the predominant one and really unlock the abundance when you don't look at why you have that belief in place and removing the emotional charge that is keeping that belief alive. Now, another thing that I see is people saying like, oh, you have to vibrate high, you have to feel very grateful. Vibrating high, guys, forget about this shit, okay? Forget about this shit. Your frequency is who you're frequently being. And who you're frequently being has more to do with your identity, with your unconscious programming than your emotions, because emotions it's natural from every human being. Can you imagine not having emotions throughout your day? Like even me, I get sad, I get angry, I get stressed. It's normal. Don't expect me to be like, wow, I'm happy 24/7. That's like, I don't know who created this, or if you still think that like people who manifest more stuff, they're happy and grateful. Just think about the president, right, of United States. Is he Mr. Gratitude? No, he's not. He looks grouchy. I don't know him personally, but he looks grouchy most of the time, angry. So gratitude is just a tool to update your implicit memory, because once you are in a state of gratitude, you're feeling safe, then you're telling your nervous system that that's not an issue anymore, and then you can relax, that you can change this, right? Not only that, but also you can start to focus on the positive things. And once you start to focus on the positive things, your reticular activated system start to pick up in other opportunities and people and synchronicities that you weren't paying attention before. But gratitude itself won't do a thing. Manifestation really is the alignment between your identity and the outcome. And your identity is your implicit self-concept. Your implicit self-concept has nothing to do with your emotions. It has to do with your self-concept. For example, if you are worthy of abundance, you are going to show up as a confident person. You are going to charge without fear of being too much. You are going to make that phone call. You are not going to procrastinate. You are not going to offer a discount beforehand. That's your self-concept, right? If you are someone who has a strong self-concept in regards to relationship, in regards to love, you are not going to people please. You are not going to try to fix other people. You're not going to overgive. You are going to show up differently. And that has nothing to do with being grateful 24/7, has nothing to do with avoiding emotions like feeling sad, feeling angry, feeling all of those things. Yes, emotion is the language of the implicit memories of the unconscious mind. But you can't just like bypass it. If you try to reject your emotions, you are just creating more resistance. Whatever you try to suppress, you are increasing like a pressure cooker, right? So how do we do here? Because like right now my business is going down, like I have so many bills and I am feeling very stressful, and I heard people telling me that I have to be delusional and that I just have to detach from the 3D. Yes and no, but you can't not trick and fool the unconscious. You know you're feeling stress, you know you're feeling fear, but the thing is you need to find safety in the presence of fear. You label the emotion, okay, and then after labeling the emotion, you're gonna separate the facts from the meaning you're giving to it. Yes, I have a bill to pay, but now what is the meaning that I'm giving to this bill? That I'm a failure, that I'm gonna get kicked out. You are trying to predict outcomes, but right now your mind is predicting on negative outcomes, on worst case scenarios. Why can't you focus on the best case scenarios? Despite the fear, yes, the fear is there, but feeling safe, grounding yourself, you need to recall your energy back to you and bring this sense of safety within yourself, because that's like the basic chakra, the root chakra, right? The safety. If you're not safe, everything else, all the rest of the creation will crumble down. So creating safety and normalize the feelings. Yes, I'm feeling this feeling. What is this feeling showing me? What is this feeling telling me? Do I have a meaning to this fact? We always do. A fact is just a fact. We can have 1,000 different meanings to that fact, right? Like bills, here's the bill. It's neutral, but you can give a different meaning to it. Oh, that means that I have electricity in my house today. Then I have this bill. Oh, I have federal tax to pay. That means that I made a lot of money. You can see a fact through multiple different lenses, and by looking at the fact through different lenses, you change completely the outcome. And so the emotion is the language of the implicit memory, but fighting it creates more resistance. So how do we change them, Bia? If not with affirmations, if not with subliminals? Don't get me wrong, this could be tools, but like I said, you're competing with a existing belief that has enough evidence and is emotionally charged. So it's very difficult to change. One of the best ways that I found is memory reconsolidation. Is proven by neuroscience that a brain cannot hold two beliefs at the same emotional truths at the same time. That's number one. Number two, you must look at the benefit of the subconscious payoffs, why you are keeping that belief into place. And it's more complex than I can explain in this video, but like I said, you have gains by being poor. You have gains by not making more money. Trust me, if you didn't, you would be making more money. If you want to learn more about how to do this in depth, I even developed an AI to help people to do this process, then click in the link in the description below or the link in my bio.